college football all day. It's a Football Friday right here on The Zone. Whether it's the Utes, Cougars, or Aggies, we've got you covered. This is a Football Friday edition of Hans Olsen and Scotty G, presented by Mountain Land Supply on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Hans Olsen, Scott Garrard, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. All right, so Hans has left the building. Hans is going to catch a plane. He's going to go to Dallas. As soon as I'm done here, I'm in Tampa right now. And I'm going to go catch a plane. I'm going to go to Dallas because, look, there's not a lot of times you see teams from the state in the Big 12 championship game, so I'm going to be there. Alema, Coach, how are you? Long time no talk to you.
We're doing fantastic.
Yeah, so we're good. We're good.
Yeah.
You know.
Hans has left.
Well, we're worried. We think he scratched the car, but we're not sure.
We're here at Tim Dowling Mazda, so you got to come down and check us out because the great deal's going on here. But Hans did leave his mark
on the car
as he left the building.
No.
We're not taking responsibility for this. I want everybody to know that it was not us. Neither one of us are even close to the candy apple red, crimson Utah red Mazda. What is that, a Mazda 9? It's a gorgeous car, by the way, with the inline six.
Oh no!
Yeah, we can get this car out of here quickly if you.
Yeah, if you want this car, we'll get that thing buffed out. You can roll out on this thing today.
Oh,
right.
It'll buff right out. No worries at all. Yeah, it'll be just fine. And then you can say, I own a car that Hans Olsen once scratched, and you can tell your friends
something.
or your family about it. It increases the value.
As cheap as Hans is, you know.
Well, this is what Hans did. Is he scratched it and then went into Jake and says, "Hey, that car's used. I want a big discount on it."
Yeah. I got a couple of questions for Coach Scotty, if you will, indulge me here. You mentioned that you're headed to Arlington, right?
You do your thing.
Sure.
All right, just jump along for the ride here, Scotty G.
Hey, so Scotty, we're going to be okay. So, Alema's had this deal with. Since he's been on TV with the basketball and all that stuff. So he's got a voice,
I know.
And a face, for.
Oh, yeah.
So,
yeah.
And he has that one, he has kind of a, what's that deal you always do? Ah!
Right now.
Yeah, right now.
Right now. So this is what we're talking about right now as we're getting ready for tomorrow's game, Coach. This is an interesting factor for me. And Scotty G, as you're heading to Arlington for this big game. And BYU, if I understand this right, got there yesterday, and they're acclimating to – and I think this is a benefit for BYU. The fact that they played the 11 o'clock game last week, right? So their time clocks – and they – let's be honest, they showed up a little late for that game.
Well,
right?
Yeah. Well, they forgot the first 14 points.
Yes.
And you have to give the other team a little credit because they did a good job of
capitalizing,
linebacker coverage and with the back out and screening off the cover guy, and so they had a good game plan. But once BYU kind of got in the rhythm of the game, that they were going to take it over. But it took them probably midway through the first quarter before they figured out, we got a game here.
This is the thing that I don't know if I wouldn't say it concerns me, but this is interesting to me because this is in some ways like a bowl game, but you don't have as much time as you have in a bowl game for preparation.
Exactly
You're
right.
going to a storied venue, an NFL field. There's a lot of things that are part of the hoopla, if you will, that is part of a championship game. How do you manage your players in this situation, or are you looking at your senior leaders, your vets, and putting it on them to keep guys in line in a situation like this?
I would tell you that there's two ways to look at it. Okay, so I attended Utah's practice on a Wednesday, I think of last week, when they were on a short week.
Yeah,
I remember right?
Right,
because they played. I forget this back
on Friday.
Yeah. So they were very careful about keeping their players healthy.
Yeah.
and they had very light, just trying to keep everybody healthy, and then their best defensive lineman was out, 93.
Yeah.
Well, not 90. Yeah, it was
Daly.
Yeah, Daly.
Yeah.
And the guy playing behind him is not ready. So he got
not ready for prime time. You're saying, or not? He wasn't healthy.
Well, he's healthy, but he's
not ready for prime time.
He's not ready for prime time.
Yeah.
And so he got exposed in the game, and so he's a sophomore, and he's going to be really good.
Yeah.
But he's going to be, he was thrown into the fire, and so they were just the way I looked at their practice is they were trying to keep everybody healthy.
Yeah.
And not, and not doing, just going through their routine, doing their teaching, but not at a, would you say,
somewhere in between a walkthrough and a full contact.
Yeah, not a high-paced thing, but you could tell that, but by the drill work, that, hey, we want to make sure we go into this game. We got fresh legs. We've got, we got the players as healthy as we can get them. Now, when I went down to BYU, they weren't saving anything.
Yeah, that was this week, right?
Yeah,
that you were down there.
Yeah, it would be Tuesday. I guess it was. Yeah, Tuesday. Yeah, Tuesday or Wednesday. Yeah, Tuesday. But they were fast. They were aggressive. They were tempo. Kind of a different approach. But they also weren't doing a lot of hitting.
So as we say in the business, to thud, right?
Yeah, but it was fast.
Yeah.
And they've been kind of trained that way from the very beginning. They run off and on the field. You don't see anybody walking. It's just kind of the way this team has been brought up of what is expected. So they naturally do it because they've done it from the very beginning.
Yeah.
But also they're very conscious of cheap hits, doing anything stupid. And so there were basically two different approaches, a faster approach, but still trying to keep the players healthy, and then a more kind of pragmatic approach of do our individual drills, group work, make sure we're not doing anything stupid, but we want to save our players' legs, and we want to make sure when we go to play on the road versus Kansas that we had a healthiest team as we could have. So there were probably two different approaches.
Go ahead, Scotty.
Alema, I'm kind of curious to know when you, as a player, look, I'm an old guy, so I don't like those night games. I'm miserable when a game starts at 8:30, but I think players would rather play at 8:30 than essentially 11 o'clock a.m. their time. As a player, would you rather, back in the day, if you can, hop in the time machine and take you back to 1985, Alema Harrington, would you have rather played at night, or would you rather played in the morning? Or did it not really even matter that much?
Yeah, we had just started to play more night games. In fact, I remember the first night game that we played, it might have been my sophomore season, and we were playing against UCLA, and we did our walkthrough under the lights at LaVell, or at that time Cougar Stadium. We played most of our games 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock local time. We were playing at home. And so I think this would be my answer to that question. It's what you're comfortable with. And if you talk to BYU, they love playing 8:15 games at home. They love that late kickoff. Now you're going to what I would the only thing I can compare it to is like a bowl game. Like this is a different type of experience altogether because you're playing in a neutral venue that I think will probably be, and Scotty, you can correct me if I'm wrong, if you're hearing something else, but I think it's going to be 50-50 as far as fans are concerned because BYU will travel, and everything I've heard as far as ticket sales are concerned, that BYU's got a good, their fair share of those tickets, and they'll be represented. So it'll feel like, more of a bowl game experience as opposed to being on the road, even though you're still, going to be in Texas. Now, all that being said, if we're going to the start time of this game, I think BYU benefits, as we were talking off the top of this hour, that they played last week an early kick game. So it's not, they won't make the same mistake, I don't think, that they made or have the same situation that they had in the game against UCF at home, where they were a little late to get their motors running, where when they go to Arlington and tomorrow in an early kickoff again, they will be somewhat acclimated to that. It will not be as foreign as it was in the game last week. So I still look at, to me, Coach has been talking about the preparation as far as the football is concerned. My concern continues to be, there's distractions when you go on this type of game. You're playing in a pro stadium. You got activities that might be associated, whether it's some kind of a dinner or something that might attend. I don't know what the schedule looks like, but there can be distractions. And what I like what you said, Coach, when you're talking about BYU's practice and they're running on the field and off the field, and they're doing that because they've been doing that since day one, right? We're 12 games into it now. This stuff is ingrained in not just the coaches and the way that they organize it, but the players. They know what they're doing. And so, to me, you can lean on your veteran leadership and, the guys that you have that have been around other, big games, maybe nothing as big as this, but there's some frame of reference where these vets who have respect in the huddles and in the locker rooms can control what is going on as far as the team is concerned. And as coaches, you oversee that and you're aware of it, but you can rely on those guys to make sure that everybody's got their focus.
Well, it's a game like this, you shouldn't have to tell anybody what their focus should be. The players know, the coaches know. You don't want to over-dramatize it.
Sure.
Because you can over-emphasize all this stuff, and then pretty soon your players and their minds are going crazy. So you just got to keep
Coach's phone continues to blow up.
Hey, Coach, just bring that phone and answer it and put it right to the mic. Let's just go.
I'm telling you, hey, that's the 5th phone call I've had.
There's some big news brewing.
There must be a lot of stuff.
Alema and I can hold down the fort for a second. If you want to go answer the call, it's totally fine.
You want to take
sounds
it, Coach?
like some.
Take the headset off, walk over here on the side, and take that call.
No, I'll hey, Jesus. Okay. Let's go ahead. Okay, so what I'm doing is putting it on.
It's already on silent.
Yeah.
So don't hit it up where we get that alert that you get on.
Hey, I'll tell you, there must be a lot of hot news out there.
Yeah.
Because,
I thought this was interesting, Coach, because Hans brought this up. Scotty, you can chime in on this because I'll tell you my perspective. People that are saying this is the biggest game in BYU football history, I might have to agree with this. Coach said
I
said
agree,
no.
wholeheartedly.
Coach is going to take this call, but you tell me, Scotty, from your perspective, can you think? And I was at BYU when we played Michigan, which was not a good Michigan team, but it was a chance to go undefeated and win a national championship, AP, UPI, coaches poll, that kind of thing. That was in that era, obviously. That was a big game, and I was there for that game. But this feels to me like it's bigger than that.
Well, okay, so you look at the big three for BYU. You've got that 84 game against Michigan. I'll go the 96 game against Kansas State in the Cotton Bowl. And then I'm going to go this one. And it's not in that order because I'm with you. I think this is number one because you've got a BYU team that's playing not as a David but as a Goliath. It's Goliath versus Goliath. This is the two best teams in the Big 12. This isn't look at these little plucky upstart kids from Provo that throw the ball all around the place and trying to smoke and mirror their way into playing big boy college football. BYU is big boy football right now.
Yes.
They play great defense. They run the ball. They've got great special teams. They've got a quarterback who doesn't make mistakes, even at a young age. And I think BYU has earned the right to be on the national stage and give a middle finger to the committee and saying, look, we're every bit as good as Texas Tech. We're every bit as good as anybody else you want to put in this top 10. Let's go. And if BYU wins this game, that is a massive statement for where they're at. Obviously, they're in, but it also is just like a stamp of authenticity of how good BYU football has become over the last 2 years.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. No, I would agree. And Coach, your thought, I agree. BYU and Utah, they all played in some big games over the years. But I look at as I'm trying to rank these, and I'm thinking, I don't know if I can think of a game. And I remember that the Kansas State game, the Cotton Bowl, and how big that was. And to some degree, it was trying to, with Steve Sarkisian at the helm, and the things that surrounded that game, because you were basically bumped out of the what is the CFP now, the Bowl Alliance at the time, and so there was an importance to that game. But even you winning that game didn't, elevate you to a chance like, oh, now you're in consideration for the national championship. That's not, what the formula would even allow at the time. Whereas this time around, you win this game, and now it's wide open for you to win a national title because you're in the 12-team playoff.
Well, the way I look at it, there's probably 4 teams out there that are untouchable.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see anybody beating Ohio State because they're just so much better than everybody else. And then
Indiana?
Indiana's built a lot like Texas Tech.
Mm.
They're physical, they're tough. They got good players in the right spots. They understand how to win. They understand how to play the game, and they're physically tough group. I think they're difficult. I think Georgia is very difficult because of their speed and how they go about their business, and knowing Georgia kids, how they go about their business, because with Georgia kids, football is a way of life.
Yeah.
I mean, that is their life. It's the most important thing to them is football. Everything else takes a backward seat.
Yeah.
Family, whatever, everything. But
football is your religion.
Football is your religion, and then I really like Oregon's team. I think they would be tough for anybody. I mean, so if you get by this Texas Tech game, then your next opponent, you're going to keep going up. But this team is, if they stay healthy, very capable of making a statement. Now, can they beat, say, a Notre Dame? Can they beat a team? Who knows? But the only thing they got to worry about this game.
Yeah, this is the conversation I'm hoping we're having next week, right, Scotty? Is this like TCU getting in last year and then facing Georgia? I mean, is that what we're going to see? But we'll save that conversation for next week. Yeah. This week it's all about
Alema,
right.
I do want this to marinate with you for a second, because you've been down at BYU since this new crew of the game presentation, marketing group. Imagine hosting a college football playoff game at night at LaVell Edwards Stadium with the amount of resources they poured into the game presentation and the marketing and all the stuff they've been doing lately.
Get ready for the show.
Just let that marinate for a little bit. We'll take a break, come back. Hans and Scotty, it is a Football Friday. Alema Harrington, Ron McBride back at Tim Daly Mazda. So it's a perfect world. You can go and meet Alema. You can go meet Coach, and you don't have to worry about me or Hans being a part of it. So you don't have to worry about us, uglying up the whole thing. You've got the two legends there. You can go in, check out the vehicles, all priced to move. These Mazdas are incredible. You got the 50, which I drive. My wife drives a 90. I'm telling you, we're a Mazda family. And I'm proud to represent that brand because it's such a great vehicle. They do such a great job at Tim Daly Mazda Southtown. If you're dealing with some issues, credit, upside down, don't worry about it. They've seen worse. And they're going to do everything they can to get you into a vehicle that you're proud to drive, you can enjoy driving, and you can afford to drive. It's all there. Tim Daly, Mazda Southtown, right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All college football, all day. It's a Football Friday right here on the Zone. Whether it's the Utes, Cougars, or Aggies, we've got you covered. This is a Football Friday edition of Hans Olsen and Scotty G, presented by Mountain Land Supply on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
I don't know about that, Lloyd. Hans and Scotty, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. It's a Football Friday. Alema, Harrington, Ron McBride down at Tim Daly Mazda Southtown. I'm here in Tampa, Florida, where it is a balmy 82 degrees outside.
Wow.
I don't hate this at all.
Yeah.
I do not hate this at all. Although there's good places in Tampa, and then there's not so good places in Tampa, and I'm in one of those not so good places. So we're just going to make sure that Uber drives right up to the hotel, and we're going to get on out of here.
Yeah, just enjoy the weather while you can.
Yeah, exactly. So when you play a team, I mean, Coach, you said something that I think is really important here because as a coach, you're, not only your X's and O's guy, but you're also a psychiatrist. You're also a motivational speaker. Like, you have all that stuff you have to do. So you mentioned you can get a team too hyped up. How do you walk that line? Because these guys are going to be foaming at the mouth. They want revenge. They want to get in the college football playoff. How do you make sure that those emotions stay in check so, again, they're not out of control and play themselves out of this game early?
Yeah, you just try to keep them relaxed, but keep them ready and do as you can have them walk through the magic mud or whatever. Just do different things to kind of relax them and keep them. They say, hey, you feel great. Your all your aches and pains are gone, all that stuff, and usually if you got strong leadership, they're going to say something. So if you got guys in the locker room that they'll follow, they're usually those guys will have. But you don't want to overdo it either, because you can do all this stuff where you're, and so I was a little bit of an emotional coach at times, and
oh, you don't say.
Yeah, so sometimes maybe I overdo it a little bit, but they were used to it, because they always talk. That's what they always talk about when you get them all back together. Oh, remember when you said this? I mean, they remember. They remember all that stuff. They bring it up, like when we just had this deal in Hawaii with people from Riverside, people from Utah, people from Weber State, and people from Long Beach. They all had stories.
Yeah.
Remember when you said this? Remember when you said this? Remember when you did this? Or it's so. Yeah, so they always bring up, just really dumb stuff that they remember,
Yeah.
Hey,
Those are the things that stand out. When your playing days are done, those are the things that when you get together as, former players and you're exchanging stories, it's those things. And sometimes those things can relax you as you're getting ready for a big game like this. This is what I like about this BYU team, because I think that there's going to be punches and counter punches in this game. I like what I've seen from BYU in their ability to be able to take a punch and then come back with the counter punch. They've had several games this year where they've had to come from behind to win. They have been able to maintain composure throughout games, with the exception of the Texas Tech game. So you fall back on, and even if you go beyond Texas Tech and then you start talking about Cincinnati and the things that you did to close out the season so you don't repeat what happened last year, to me that's growth and maturity and the continued evolution of these guys. And I'll say this, and I don't know how accurate this is because this is, in large part is me consuming the cut and, the various, pieces of media that are coming out of BYU. But if I'm looking at the transfer portal and what BYU acquired, the biggest asset, and maybe not fair to say the biggest, one of the biggest assets that they acquired was Tanavasa. This kid is a rock star in not just on the field, but in the locker room. His ability to command attention, respect from the rest of the locker room has been huge, I think, for this team. Maybe, specifically the defense, but generally speaking, the team. What an acquisition for BYU this year to get him.
Yeah, and it took him a minute.
Yeah.
Well, he's there because Kalani was his home teacher.
This is how it works, people.
Yeah. So
that's why you make your monthly visits, folks. You never know when it's going to pay off.
You never know. Because I did ask Kalani, I said, how'd you get Tanavasa? And he said, I was his home teacher. I said, so every Sunday when you show up at his house, and and the dad moved to Orem or so I didn't realize the dad had moved.
Oh, the dad is awesome too.
Oh yeah.
This is why we do ministering.
Well, I ministered to Dad in college, so that's probably why he's at the BYU now. but he's a great kid.
Yeah.
He was, and he was well respected at Utah.
Yeah.
And they all kind of listened to what he had to say. And,
well, I think he brought a certain level of toughness and tenacity that Utah has always been known for, and I'm stereotyping here, Alema, so don't get too upset at me. But when we think of Utah, we always think of tough, nasty, line of scrimmage dominance.
Yeah.
And BYU hasn't been quite that, but this year they have been in spades. And I think Tanavasa has brought a little bit of that mentality to BYU where, look, we're not going to smoke and mirror this thing. We're coming at you, and we're going to hit you square in the mouth.
The guys who are most notable or noticeable are Jack and
Glasgow.
And Glasgow.
Yeah.
I mean,
but in large part, linebackers will tell you just like a running back will tell you about the offensive line. Linebackers will tell you this. If that guy can take up two blockers and allow me to roam, then that makes me look good. But it's because of those guys up front.
Yeah, well, Tanavasa can take credit for a lot of it.
Yeah.
But to me, the most noticeable dudes are Glasgow and Jack.
Yeah.
And when Jack wasn't healthy for a couple of weeks, the defense wasn't quite as good.
Mm-hmm.
And then when
one
all
of those weeks was Texas Tech.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so when he got back to full speed, then you noticed him running people down everywhere because he felt good. And Glasgow's the same type of player. I think the key for Tanavasa eat up two guys
mm-hmm.
and don't let them get down to the second level.
Yeah.
They have that. The other backer has showed up quite a bit lately. So they're a really good football team. Are they good enough to beat this team? Yes. Are they good enough to meet this football team if they make some mental errors? No.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to have to play a clean game.
So this is my question to you as a coach. Because I can look, and I understand, and everybody listening knows this about me. I'm looking at this through blue goggles, right? I'm the BYU homer.
50-50,
I'm looking,
baby.
I'm looking at the BYU game against Texas Tech, and I'm thinking, muff punt. Okay, that was an error. Won't do that again. JoJo Phillips' first game back. Okay, drop ball in a critical situation, not going to happen again. Okay, Jack Kelly, a little banged up. He's going to play better. He's healthy now. LJ Martin, he was a little banged up. He's going to play better. BYU almost has an interception early on before Texas Tech gets really rolling. If you get the interception there, then this whole complexion of the game changes, right? So as a coach, are you looking back and are you talking to the kids like, we did this, otherwise we would have won?
Well,
or are you saying –
No, you don't. So you don't want to dwell on the negatives.
Yeah.
But you have to make the negatives be positive.
Okay.
In other words, how you word things. Okay. For instance, if we got to do a better job of fielding a punt, well, we're going to put you in some situations here where it's going to be difficult for you to field the punt, and we're going to help you to be more. And all fielding the punt is concentration. So what you're doing is put it in this guy's mind something positive. Mm-hmm. But if you keep telling him, oh, that play was really a negative, and you keep bringing it up, he's going to make that same mistake again.
Yeah, I'd highlight last week's punt return for a touchdown.
Oh yeah,
right.
Well, look at this. Look at the difference here. Okay, we got this one that went for a touchdown because everybody did the right thing.
Right.
You concentrated. You brought the ball in when you caught it. The blockers were all in good position.
You didn't let the punter bring you down?
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly. So but you got to frame it in a positive way and try not to be negative,
mm-hmm.
So you got to try to frame it in a way that because sometimes you really get mad at players for different things. Why did you do this? And then players say, I have no idea.
Yeah, and all of these guys have had bounce backs from that game. I think you're right. You focus on, okay, you go to last week and the punt return for a touchdown. You go to JoJo Phillips and his, getting a foot down in bounds and making some big plays to keep drives alive. Those are the things that you carry that momentum into tomorrow. And now you get guys are riding high and feeling confident. It's like, man, we got this.
So yeah, and the nice thing about Kalani is he has a lot of experienced assistant coaches.
Mm-hmm.
Gary Anderson's been around several blocks. He understands how he understands the temperament of the locker room. He understands how the kids think. Sione Puha was in the league for 10 or 11 years, and he understands how people think. Just on and on. Jay Hill, same thing. They understand what's going on.
And in my opinion, a guy that doesn't get a lot of love is Harvey. Coaching the running back, coaching LJ through his whole career, right?
Well, Harvey's kind of an unassuming guy.
Yes, he is. Very quiet.
But he's very good. I mean, this LJ Martin is a special kid. And it's not something, the great running backs, it's not taught. You have it.
Yeah.
You had the vision. The first time I watched the kid in practice last spring, I didn't know.
Yeah, and he had changed numbers too.
Yeah.
It's like, who's this kid?
Yeah. So I'm watching, the Moa kid and the other guys, and all of a sudden this one guy is a standout. His footwork, his vision, his eyes. And I'm saying, who's that guy? I don't recognize him. And so I said, who's that kid? Oh, that's L.J. Martin. He was hurt last year or whatever. I said, he's in a league by himself. I said, he's 1A, 1B, and 1C. And then Moa's the next guy. But this guy was just footwork, vision, eyes, change of direction, lower body strength, the whole thing, just a natural guy, And sometimes you guess right, and then the guy shows up and he's better than what you thought.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Anderson, I can remember, I thought, well, this guy's really good. And the first day that I saw him in person, said, this guy's great. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
And he just, the great running backs stand out.
Yeah, they're born like that. And LJ was that as a true freshman. You know, to get on the field as a running back in anybody's system as a true freshman is not. That's a tall task.
You're right.
But that's how good he was, and he's continued to just improve his skill set to the point where he's a Sunday back.
Yeah.
Oh, there's no doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's definitely he'll make it in the NFL, and he'll stick around. The problem is with running backs, they just run out of, they run out of juice because they either get beat up.
Well, you take so many hits.
Yeah, I can remember when I was at Atlanta for their pre-camp that one year. They had 3 backs that were all in their later years, and none of them looked like they wanted to play.
Yeah.
I said, and they all had big names.
Yeah.
But I said, I told the line coach, I said, there's not one of those 3 guys that wants to play.
Yeah.
I said, they just want to exist.
I'll give you a perfect, local example, Stanley Havili, right?
Yeah.
One of the great running backs coming out of Cottonwood, goes to USC, into the NFL, and hits a line, goes up, he takes a hit from a linebacker and shatters his shoulder,
Yeah.
right? I mean, that's the kind of hit you take in the NFL. So you got to be built for it, and certainly LJ is built for it. And the question then becomes, okay, does he have the ability to stay in the league for an extended period of time? We just don't see that. But if you're LJ Martin, it's like, I just want the opportunity, and he's provided that for himself.
For to say something about Stanley, so when my son-in-law was coaching at SC when he was there, so I'd go down. He was the leader of the team.
Yep.
He was the spokesman for the team. He was the guy all of them listened to, and he was a producer.
Yep.
And I tell you what, you watch him in practice. He knew how to practice. He knew how to play, and he wasn't the primary ball carrier.
Yeah, this is the Reggie Bush era.
Yeah, he was a fullback,
right.
But he was well respected.
Yes.
Because of
Hans
his
and
work
Scotty,
ethic.
97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Got to take a quick break, gentlemen, and we will wrap up this thing. Coming up next, some final thoughts on what BYU needs to do to punch their ticket into the college football playoff. We'll hit it next. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All college football, all day. It's a Football Friday right here on the Zone. Whether it's the Utes, Cougars, or Aggies, we've got you covered. This is a Football Friday edition of Hans Olsen and Scotty G, presented by Mountain Land Supply on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, final segment before we hand the reins on over to JJ and Alex. Coming up next, BYU. It's the Big 12 championship game coming up tomorrow as they'll take on Texas Tech. Alema Harrington, McBride back in Salt Lake. I'm going to be en route to the game coming up here in just about 20 minutes from now. I'll catch an Uber and be on my way to the airport, and Hans and I will have coverage of that game coming up tomorrow in Dallas. But Alema, you said something that I want to hit on really quick. That BYU has withstood those punches early, those haymakers. And I want BYU, I want them to deliver the first punch coming up tomorrow, because I think that you can withstand punches when you take a hit early on, when you're playing Cincinnati, when you're playing West Virginia, when you're playing some of these other teams. You can't take a punch in the mouth early from Texas Tech and rebound as easily as you have against these other teams. I want BYU throwing those first haymakers. I want to see them up 10-0 in the first couple possessions of this game and get Texas Tech on their heels a bit.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And, whether you start on offense or defense, I've said this about this game, that even as I look at the earlier regular season game between BYU and Texas Tech, I felt like the defense did a really nice job, and that Aaron Roderick has got to come with something and stretch the field or something a little bit different. I think that it's a different game in part because L.J. Martin is healthier than he was certainly in that game during the regular season. And then on the defensive side, the way that you throw the first punch is you come up with the sacks, which they did in that first game. But you got to come up with takeaways. I heard an interview, I think Tanner Wall might have made this statement. He said, I 100% believe, and this is true in most cases, but in this game especially, that whoever wins the turnover battle is going to win this game. And that means that if you're the defense, then you got to get out there with a takeaway mindset. Not interception, not fumble recovery. It's like takeaway. We got to take the ball away from Texas Tech's offense. And then I agree that you throw the first punch if you can, right? And then even though you throw the first punch, you got to recognize, to your point, Scotty, this is not Cincinnati. This is not a team that you're going to punch them and then they're going to go away. Like, you got to be 100% ready for the counterpunch, which BYU has been in games this year, but this is a different opponent. This is one of the top teams in the country, and you got to go in with bubble team mentality, which is win and you're in, and lose and there's no guarantees. You gotta go in with that mindset, Coach.
Well, it's I think it's going to be hard to throw the first punch because this team is very solid.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the one thing that's to your advantage a little bit is Texas Tech probably doesn't have the ultimate respect for BYU because of the first game.
Yeah.
And they're thinking, and they've kind of dominated. And a lot of teams like that, they're sitting there and you get up on them, and then at halftime they realize they're in the game and it's too late. And so what I do is I look for what the first two quarters are. If it's a 0-0, 7-0 game at half, I think you got yourself a game.
Mm.
And then they're trying to wake themselves up. But if you get behind early, then that's tough. But I think a lot of it is going to be just the little things that matter. What you do in the special teams, what you do if you need to get a turnover. You need to, You need to be really good on third downs. You need to keep the ball moving. You need to take away the things that are positive. And the offensive and defensive lines are the key.
Mm-hmm.
So to the offensive lineman, I would say, if you're listening or TJ's listening, hey, it's on you, dude. Show up. And I would say, yeah, show up. Do your stuff, man. Get to the second level. No excuses.
That's the deal.
Yeah.
Let's go.
And the same
All
way
right.
the defensive front. Keep the guys off the second level. Let Jack and Gasker and those guys do their job. And what you do is you'll have a victory. And the other thing I would say,
There you go.
I'm really, really proud of how they handled Sataki's situation. Mm-hmm. And whatever Kyle's going to do today at 5:30, whenever it is, I want Kyle to make the decision. I don't want somebody to push him someplace because he doesn't deserve to be pushed anywhere. He's done be your own man, dude. And if you want to stay, you stay. And don't worry about it because, and for my part, I'll support you in whatever you want to do. And I tell you what, if he decides to step down, you got Morgan is more than ready.
Yeah.
And I don't see a lot of changes in the coaching staff, but Kyle, you've earned it.
You earned it. You earned this.
Yeah.
Make-
You've earned it. Absolutely.
You've earned every step. Hey.
There you go. Hans and Scotty coming up next. JJ and Alex, 97.5, the EKSL Sports Zone.